ladies and gentlemen. So I'm really thoroughly excited to welcome Dave van der Merwe to tonight's lecture.
On the African Construction Trends Report, what it seeks to do is merely to track trends. Infrastructure can create a massive opportunity for the youth to actually get employment and be employed not only in the construction industry but all the related engineering and related industries. What we're going to see over the next 10, 15 years is massive urbanisation. I think you can just imagine what that means for housing, for water, for sanitation right across the globe. What's been very interesting in the African space is how African countries have leapfrogged technology. The transport and the energy and power sectors of the trends have been dominant. There's a massive need for railway, for roads, for ports, and related infrastructure. Domestic contractors on the African continent are only doing 15% of the mega projects on our database. Two French contractors, Vinci and Bouygues, doing more than 2 billion euros of revenue on the African continent. From a construction industry point of view, someone else is certainly eating our breakfast. Kenya has made a substantial move to try and move towards manufacturing, to opening up transport corridors, to creating a very different environment in which to grow. The Chinese have been very involved in infrastructure over the African continent for the last 5 to 8 years, but slowly they've moved north and they've been pushed out by governments who have not been tolerant of the substandard infrastructure they've left behind. And they're starting to move the focus from infrastructure into investments, into food security, into arable land, and into manufacturing, and moving the cost base from China into East Africa. Nigeria, dominated by the United States, Brazil, and increasingly places like Japan, Israel, and Australia. So all of those different regions are looking for opportunities to grow outside the existing markets, and they see Africa as the big opportunity to keep and maintain their construction businesses going. There's certainly, my sense, a lack of experienced capacity to deal with mega projects and increasing project complexity. The amount of paperwork, the amount of technical documents that goes with most construction projects these days is mind-boggling. And a lot of the African contractors certainly do not have the capacity to deal with that complexity, the amount of paperwork coming. The South African and African construction industry is way behind in terms of the use of technology. The industry is open to disruption. It is open to other industries, technology companies bringing in data analytics, sensors, robotics. Again, I think rapid declines in productivity. There are some contractors globally who have started to put sensors into hard hats to track movement of individuals, to try and understand some of the productivity issues. And there have been some startling results. The construction industry, and I'll speak generically of the industry, is reluctant to take on board data analytics and the opportunities which it presents. Closing the loop between the information and the data they've got and putting it back into the estimating processes. The same mistakes are made by the same people time and again. The ability to just rapidly take those processes into new environments, to go and actually take on European or American contractors in the African continent, leaves them behind. They're at a disadvantage. Just the challenges that I've seen around the construction industry is inadequate skills at an artisan, trade skills, finishing trades level. The world is full of engineers. There's lots of them. I think just to give you a rough estimate, China and India produce around 1 million engineers every year. So there are lots of engineers. There's a desperate need for good artisans, for finishing trades in South Africa. There's a big drive towards trade schools in Tanzania, in South Sudan, despite all the troubles they've got, Uganda, Kenya. But the construction industry, engineering firms should embrace is actually finding people who are actually able to pass on and really mentor up-and-coming young graduates. What we've seen, interestingly, in terms of community, is community involvement in modern metro growth. And there are a couple of innovative cities around the world that have embraced this from a infrastructure point of view, and they are fundamentally changing those cities. A massive move towards using data analytics, again, and robotics in the safety environment to actually fundamentally shift the needle on safety. Everyone wants to drive economic growth. Everyone wants to improve service delivery. Everyone wants to facilitate job creation, alleviate poverty. The funds are available, and yet projects are lagging. And you've got to ask yourself why. The World Bank estimates that for every $1 that is spent on infrastructure, on capital projects, an economic return of between 5 and 25% per annum is generated. And I think there's always this big disconnect between governments and the construction industry, the engineering industries. Because if everyone's working together, I think we can actually close quite a lot of the infrastructure gap that we currently do have on the continent. Smart cities, again, some really, really innovative stuff happening around smart cities, smart grids, using technology, using data analytics to actually develop new metros. And with those smart cities, there's a lot of technology companies that would be looking to invest into infrastructure. There's an opportunity for various players who might not have been in this particular industry to actually partake. In my discussions with a lot of the construction industries, they're using their balance sheets, their ability to put collateral, to put guarantees, etc., and actually helping younger, smaller companies to come through. The days of actually requiring SMMEs to put performance guarantees are disappearing fast. My sense is, from what I'm gathering from places like World Bank, USAID, from the DFIs, they're relaxing those requirements significantly because they realize you cannot get too onerous in terms of your requirements, your collateral, your security, etc., because otherwise you'll never fund anything. There's still too many larger contractors, and I'd like to see much more of a shift towards companies with fewer than 100 people that are doing the subcontracting work, the trade skills, etc. But if I look more broadly at the African continent, we need lots more people to be involved right across the value chain in construction, to be able to get to that place where we've got a very vibrant SMME community just within construction that can stand on its own 2 feet.